because it's just like generic rock and roll.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like to mix it up, do something different than the polka.
Trevor probably would
True.
be like, oh man, these guys rock so hard.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, I just love Sebastian Bach. I know, he doesn't know. Who's the Poison guy? That's Trevor's little boy toy.
Right.
Brett
What's up,
Michaels. Man? Not much, man. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
Back and around. Being able to do stuff besides hang out in my Roach Motel.
Yeah.
Hard M, as I like to say on that motel. We'll put a little plug in for the Turkey Creek Lodge Motel and RV Park.
Really?
Yeah.
They got RVs, too.
They got RVs.
Was anybody RVing
parked
while
out
you
back.
were there?
Surprisingly, yeah, it looked full. They might be year-round RVers, which is,
Nice.
I think, one step down from a trailer park. But they do get Pop-Tarts every morning. The continental breakfast consisted of a big basket of Pop-Tarts and crappy coffee that he said he kept on until, quote, I keep the coffee on until it starts smelling bad every day. Doesn't change the coffee out. Just takes it off.
Keeps it on.
Keeps it off till
takes it off. And then
till it stinks.
Oh,
and then
geez.
he takes it off.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wild adventure back, I was out in Boston, which was really fun. A lot of neat stuff out there, Revolutionary War stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Whales were cool.
Sure.
But then coming back, we got canceled through O'Hare to Des Moines. So we got routed on a 5-hour later flight to Cedar Rapids. And this was me, my girlfriend, and her parents. And then her dad rented a van in Cedar Rapids. We drove to Des Moines where our cars were. So I didn't get to Atlantic till about 10:30.
Dang.
When I had called and told the guy I needed a late check-in, like 9. I said between 9 and 10. Didn't make it then, but there was a sign up when I got there. It said, call this number after hours. Called the number 3 times. No answer. So then it was 11. I didn't have a hotel room. And I was tired. I'd been up since 4 a.m.
Oh, Jesus.
Central Time.
Yeah.
So I found another hotel room, and luckily,
Yeah.
it's like they had like 3 left.
Oh,
Found
geez.
one and got some sleep, but
How big is Atlantic? That's not a very big town, is it?
it's not. It's a little bit bigger than Esterville.
Okay.
Surprisingly. It's the Coca-Cola capital of Iowa.
Okay.
They got a big bottling
How did
plant
they?
there.
They got a bottling.
Like a
Okay,
facility
I
where they
see.
actually bottle it. Yeah, it's not just a distributorship. It's
Okay.
making the bottles, or probably not making the bottles, but filling them up.
Yeah.
So, nice little community though.
Mm-hmm.
Got very familiar with all of their restaurants.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Going out to eat every night for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, it's a full 2 weeks you were there.
Full
huh?
2 weeks, like
Wow.
a Tuesday to Tuesday through the following Friday, and then I went to Des Moines for a wedding with Megan.
Sure.
So,
Well, you've been a busy guy here lately.
yeah, on the back end of a cold.
Yeah.
Feel great.
That's good.
Sound weird.
Well,
But-
so it goes. It's that
Yeah.
time of year.
Yeah, oh, it is. If you haven't gotten a flu shot, I'm all about vaccinations. So get your flu shot, folks. People are already being hospitalized with confirmed influenza. So it is here.
Oofda.
It is here. So,
Well, why don't we dive right into the local news here? So, what episode is this? 37 or 8 or something? I don't know.
I think
Whatever.
it's high 30s.
High 30s, Project something or other podcast.
50, we got to have a big...
Yeah, 50's got to be a
Blowout.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so yesterday was election day, rock the vote. And,
Vote or die.
Vote or die.
Was that a Puff Daddy thing?
That was in like, that was when we were kids, like
It'd be like... No,
2004 or 8 or something like
yeah, I
that.
think even before, it might have been.
Might have been 2000.
It might have been 2000.
Rock the vote, man. Don't vote for Bush.
Because my first election was 04 up at in Northfield.
Yeah.
And I remember they had a huge thing that came to campus, and everyone's talking about voting. And I'm like, okay,
Make a
cool.
big deal out of it. Yep.
Yeah. And who was that? That was Bush versus Kerry.
Yeah, that's right.
Bush Kerry.
Bush was the incumbent. Kerry. Ralph Nader, I think, was the third party.
Yep, throwing in some Nader.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we'll have a third party this time around. I think it'd be interesting. Like, I could see Tulsi Gabbard going a third party route, maybe. Because, I mean, she's not going to get the Democratic nominee, clearly. Right. But I think she has a strong following from both right and left.
Yeah, it's interesting how she's got kind of crossover.
Yeah, which is nice. That's kind of refreshing to have a little bit of a mixed candidate. I mean,
even
once.
If you disagree with a variety of somebody, like if I felt like politicians were reasonable people,
right,
I would be way more inclined to vote for somebody that I didn't necessarily fully support.
Right,
just for that reason alone.
But they aren't reasonable people. They're absurd. All of them anymore.
God, they're awful.
You know?
I hate it.
And when you look at these establishment turds that just park out in Washington, and then once they start doing too poorly in the public eye, then they're just like, all right, I'm going to quit.
They quit, turn into a lobbyist.
K Street,
yep,
making 10 times the amount of money.
Yeah,
and having more power, really, like by then, because then they just go like, oh, my old buddy I used to drink scotch with.
Yeah,
I'll just go lobby him for his vote.
Right. Get in the back pocket a few special interest groups.
Boom.
You know, you got a whole bunch of favors to return for all the campaign contributions.
Yeah. It's gnarly.
Yeah.
Silly system. But the local level politics interests me.
Yeah, sure. So anyways, we had our election day yesterday. On the ballot was, I believe, mayor, city council, school board,
and then some with Iowa Lakes trustees board or something like that. Which I'm surprised that was Estherville local, since it's a state community college. Yeah,
and they've got more than one county that they are.
Oh yeah,
in too.
Right, multiple. So how is it? It's interesting.
I don't know.
I don't understand how that's a local thing, but
yeah.
Regardless, it was an unchallenged seat.
Yeah, right. But I think, at least for our purposes right here, the focus of our discussion right now was the Estherville mayor race.
Yeah.
And it was the Project Ion in Dorsey.
Absolutely.
Rock on Steve.
Rock on Steve Michael.
Man.
Stephen Michael West.
Lost out to the write-in.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, that is rough.
That's rough.
Rock on.
I did see someone on Facebook was like trying to talk of a write-in for the current mayor who wants to be done. Like he didn't want to do it last time. And they talked him into there was a whole same thing where there's a big runoff, except it was like a 4 or 5 person runoff. Because for some reason in Estherville, and I don't know why this is set up, is it just in the town charter or where you got
to get to 50%?
You have to get over 50%, like one vote over 50% of the vote.
I don't know if that's in some rule in the ordinance or something, or if that's a state thing. Or
so you need 482, and top guy got 422.
Yeah, he wasn't far off.
No.
But yeah, now so we're gonna have a runoff between Joseph May and Ann Goebel.
So, hospital chaplain versus former Ski Hill owner who still lives up in the Ski Hill.
She's been on the city council, I think.
Yes,
for a while.
And I think she works at the school now.
Mm-hmm.
And the winery. She works over at Little Swan Lake.
Okay.
I'll see her over there sometimes.
It's kind of a Renaissance woman. Then,
but last night I came out of the movie, and I took Central, so I could go in front and see Rock on Steve's place and see what he was. And he had like 4 to 6 American flags hanging off the front porch, and probably 50 of his own signs. Just covering.
Covers the whole property.
Yep, whole property. He is a property owner. He advocates for more bicycle safety education, more helmets, and the installation of bells under bikes.
I would encourage you to watch some of the Rock on Steve stuff that we've hit on the past few episodes. Because
did you guys run through his little bio?
Well, a little bit. I mean, we watched a few. Like he's got it's essentially the same subject matter, but just two different occasions. He gave this speech about why he's cool. And one was like in the context of speech class at the college.
Okay.
And then the other one was like an impromptu, I don't know if he was warming up or something, but it was like in his house.
Oh.
And he's going through why he's cool. And the stuff is, I make my own music and I produce my, and like.
He apparently writes books.
He writes books. Yeah, he's published. I dug a little bit, and I discovered his publisher got sued for scamming people and like.
Yes.
But it's one of those, be a published author for the low, low price of $5,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I'll publish you.
Yeah, it was. So, anyways, yeah. Allegedly, we've got a manuscript or a copy or something that we're going to read from the tome of Rock On Steve on the podcast one of these days.
But. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Because he like just went to Iowa Lakes a couple years ago, I think, is when he finished out here. Right? Like he did culinary school in the 70s or something and then decided to go back for biofuels and hotel management, I think.
Well, yeah, I think we've actually got a thing of his credentials. Maybe, whoop.
And then, was that a picture of him that they used in the paper?
Yeah, here we go. So, born Frederick, Maryland, 1959.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he turns 60 today. Whoa.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Rock On.
And Rock On, Steve.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. So, yeah.
Culinary arts.
2010 to 11, Iowa Lakes. Yeah. Continuing 2011 to 16.
5 years.
Yeah. Hotel, restaurant management. So, anyways, yeah, he's got quite a laundry list of associate's degrees and certifications and stuff here. But we had this. Tell me what you think of this, Spurge. But we had this conspiracy theory because there's a degree of intelligence to Rock On Steve that is sort of overlooked, I think, and overshadowed by all the woohoo Rock On kind of stuff. Because I guess the story is he rode his bicycle out here and then just decided to stop or something and then enrolled at Iowa Lakes and was...
Like Forrest Gumped it?
Yeah, I guess. And then living off student loans till he got on his feet. Now he's got a house and this stuff and
homeowner,
guitars and...
Business owner.
He's got Rock On
SMW
Enterprises. Whatever. So we're like, what the heck is this?
Marital status, single.
That's the best part.
Employed 1973 to present.
So
he's a worker.
But anyways, it kind of doesn't add up because he's almost academic in one sense, but then he's totally fried out otherwise. And
yeah.
So we had this conspiracy theory. It's like, what if Rock On Steve is actually like some PhD or something from out east doing deep
undercover
research or something like, can I dupe a whole town? Like we thought maybe the magnum opus was run for mayor and get elected or something. You
interesting
craft this persona of being a complete screwball. And I
mean, look at these. Like, where's the one I just saw? He is employed, first aid certified back in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And see me.
It's good stuff.
Plus
good information.
Nine other certifications.
9 others, man. We don't know what they are.
I'm not going to tell you about them.
Not necessarily. I mean, hey, this list was getting a little long to begin with, but
Homeland Security clearance.
It's good stuff.
Which is funny because in his newspaper interview, he talked about having one of his platforms was to support local police, Homeland Security, FBI, and CIA. And that was one of his big mayoral platforms.
Nice. Well, we got a comment. Kevin says Rock On Steve is a CIA operative. I'm convinced.
Yeah. Him and Ben Messer's dad.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds not completely crazy to me.
Maybe Steve Wassler is Ben Messer's dad.
Might be.
Maybe he just left for a couple of years and came back.
Ben Messer. I think he's an attorney now.
Probably.
Yeah, he
lawyers.
He would be a barrister.
A barista?
Yeah. Well, so anyways, the results here are pretty depressing. So I thought we would.
I think it's unfair, though, to put write-in above him. Was it write-in all for the same person? Because a lot of times I'll write in Cole Beardsley.
Yeah.
For random things. I didn't this year. I voted for May.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Joseph May. He's a nice dude. But I usually write in Cole Beardsley. For most things.
It's a good idea. If you're unsure, write Cole Beardsley.
Yeah. I mean, he'll do it.
Yeah. Totally. I really enjoyed your doomsday scenario. Well, I guess maybe it was technically Dave and Jill's or whatever, but they, the idea was if this big government contract building thing comes to fruition, then
and Rock On Steve.
You got Rock On Steve
is the ambassador.
Ribbon cutting ceremony. Like, woohoo! Rock on! Party on, people.
Giving him a rock on from one of his vehicles. Yeah. I think is how he states it.
Like, just imagine everybody's wearing suits, standing around, and
just Rock On Steve.
Here comes AC/DC blaring from a bicycle.
Mayor's here.
All right, party on, people.
It's very Idiocracy.
Oh yeah,
President Camacho.
I don't know. It's a good thing. I mean, if I'm going to be intellectual here, if you want your town to be as good as it can be, we probably don't want Rock On Steve as mayor.
Yeah.
However, for the Lowells,
nothing beats it.
You couldn't have matched it. Yeah.
And he almost got 5%. That's 1 in 20 voted for him.
We needed to. Yeah, that's true. I wonder if anybody that's a routine person on this podcast maybe voted for Rock On Steve. I don't know. Hard to say.
Well, Vin can't vote because he's over in Lakelands.
Neither can I because I'm technically outside the city limits. So that would maybe only leave one potential person. You said you voted for May. So
I bet Kyle did.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Do you think Kyle voted?
I bet Kyle voted.
Kyle probably voted.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got poop backing up in his basement or wherever. That's a mess. I don't envy that. I've had that happen. And
like tree roots or
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Whole main just backed up into the
brutal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's reminds me of an old theater story. Well, maybe I've told this to you before, but I think it was Kyle's first day on the job actually it was the Harry Potter midnight show.
Okay.
And I can't remember which Harry Potter it was.
Right.
One of them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we had the free summertime movies for the kids or something. So it was just one of those.
During the day, right?
Yeah. You get there at the theater at 9, 10 a.m., something like that. And you're just there.
Just there forever.
Forever. Yep. Yeah. And I was working, did the kids' shows, got through it. Several hundred people passed through and that kind of thing. And anyways, all the auditoriums were just annihilated. And we had a whole lot of people around. And, it was maybe 3, 4 o'clock, something like that. Got the midnight show that night. So we got our normal
shows.
List of shows plus the big Harry Potter midnight show. So,
right.
And we were planning to run the same movie through two of the projectors at the same time.
So 2 theaters full of it?
2 theaters, sell more tickets, 1 print of the movie.
Right.
You're able to do it. So kind of a big deal. That's a lot of pressure.
1 print of the movie.
Yeah, we had.
So you'd run first reel and then start the other one 20 minutes later.
It was we had a kind of a sketchy way to rig it up, so we actually ran the film through both projectors at the same time, but it required 2 people to start them simultaneously.
So it just ran.
Yep, just ran across the room, and it's really sketchy and risky because if something breaks, it's
expensive
effed up
film
and
too.
Expensive film. And you got 2 auditoriums full of potentially crabby people.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're getting stuff cleaned up, and somebody comes out, like a kid or something's like, "Hey, there's a problem with a toilet in the girls' room."
Uh-oh.
So I go look at it, and I walk out into the lobby, and I see there is just water coming out from the bathrooms out onto the carpet.
Oh, no.
Like, oh, we got a situation. So I yell, Donna, call a plumber. Go in there. The toilet was like stuck on and running.
But not going anywhere.
And not going anywhere. And I'm like, well, what the hell? Because it's not. Yeah, I mean, it was like spilling out the bowl and stuff. Right. And then I go in the men's room quick to look. I shut the valve off on the girls' toilet. Stop that one. But it's still, and it's full coming up full everywhere. Yeah. Water everywhere. It's coming up out of the floor drain in the men's room. I'm like, oh, boy, we got a big problem.
Yeah.
So we get a plumber there and stuff, and we had about a foot of sewage down in the basement because there was a
huge, underneath the ejector rooms?
Yeah, way in the back of the middle theater.
Yeah, where you store there's
furnaces down there and other stuff.
Fridge and
Yep, there's
you always put the cheese down there.
So we had a foot, I think, maybe 18 inches of sewage, something like that.
Whew.
It was bad. Yeah, so there was a huge block in between the sewer going from the building to the street. Main. Yeah. Right.
That's not good.
But that was Kyle's first day on the job. So he was helping me.
Did you tell him he had to get down in it?
No.
I would have jumped her out.
Well, at that point, it wasn't even safe once we realized there was all that sewage.
That's straight up biohazard.
Yeah. Super bad. We wound up going down there later after it had been all drained and did our best to kind of clean it up, but it was brutal.
You almost got to get ServPro or someone in there to deep dive that bad boy.
Yeah. So
what a heck of a way. Welcome to
the theater. Yeah, it was quite the experience.
Kyle.
So, anyways, happy birthday, Rock On Steve. We'll play.
This one's for you, buddy.
This one is for you. Yeah, I've heard enough Rock On Steve songs that I kind of feel like I know what some of his he's got like 5 YouTube channels, dude.
We got 45 views on this one.
Yeah.
46, something like that.
This one at least has the trappings of a halfway decent song. I mean,
so how do you find all of his YouTube channels?
Stephen Michael Wassler you can find a couple of them. And then if you kind of continue to worm your way through recommendeds and stuff like that, you can
he just keeps
discover the other ones.
He just keeps making.
This one is from Stephen Michael Topic, I think. And there's a Stephen Michael, and then there's a Stephen Michael Wassler, and
Stephen Michael Scooby.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Anyways, have you heard of any Rock On Steve songs?
I have not heard any of this. Is my first listen.
Well, maybe since that's the case, I'm going to play you another one to kind of get a vibe of what his style is before we dive into the
Catch You There 371. Yeah.
So his thing is he has like a minute plus of just kind of overdubs of him talking and then a drum machine.
Okay.
And then he eventually starts into the song. So
2016 Steven Music being 2016 Rockstar. This one is titled Catch You There. And this is my newest idea for this one from my friend Oxen this year.
A weird echo too, right?
Well, yeah.
Or is he just like dubbing like multiple tracks over top of themselves?
Well, I think on his voice he's got some delay or something going on.
It's got like a weird.
It's got a strange timbre to it for sure. But yeah, it's like a bunch of overdubs of talking, and then eventually the song starts. But they're all like this.
Okay.
They've all got these sort of absurd intros.
It's a style. Just Steven music.
So, anyways, you get the gist of that.
Yeah.
Now, if we move like halfway into it, we should hear some song.
That's one chord.
Yeah. I mean, I've listened to enough Rock on Steve now that it's like, I don't want to say I'm turning into a fan, but I'm starting to appreciate it more.
Dude, that's some of the worst recording I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's god awful.
It reminds me of what happened to me with Creed. So,
oh no!
Like 10 years ago, I started listening to Creed again to like have to go back in time to 8th grade or whatever, right? And I was like, I'll listen to this stuff. You know, every song is like, yeah. And they're so stupid. It's just this like sophomoric, you know, crappy 10th grader poetry set to cheesy, you know, hard rock
and roll. What?
And so I'm just sitting there like, oh God, these songs are so stupid. Ha 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 ha. Well, you know, after enough time of going through the joke,
it's like Munchausen syndrome, dude.
It got to be seriously. I have a propensity for that, I think. So it got to be less about it. Next thing you know, I'm like, yeah, you know, can you take me higher, man?
Can you take me higher?
And the next thing you know, me and the Gremses are at a Creed concert.
Oh my gosh.
In like 2009 or wherever. Well, it was.
Woo.
Skillet opened for him.
That's literal brainwashing yourself, dude.
I guess I don't know, weak-willed or something, but.
So now, do you think we should start a write-in campaign for Rock on Steve to play Sweet Corn Days or something?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Get him to do it?
Yeah.
I wonder if he ever would. Probably.
Oh, I bet he would.
We could tell him he could turn it into a political rally.
Mm-hmm. I know he's played at a few of those like Thursday afternoon at the Library Square things.
Okay. I would go to that. If that happens again, I would go check that out.
But yeah, I mean, so these recordings are awful. Songs are garbage, but
now you're kind of like...
Now I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, that's, you know, this element isn't all that bad, and I kind of like that chord change and, you know, whatever it might be.
So have you heard this one, the Kitty Cat song?
So the Kitty Cat one I have heard, and I feel like this one has the trappings of a decent song, like deep within it somewhere.
Does he still talk?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, baby. Woo!
I mean, I feel like his guitar's out of tune slightly, which is kind of wrecking it for me in some ways, but this particular set of chord changes aren't
not terrible. Not terrible.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
The whole beat of it's kind of weird though. Like it's like very like dun dun dun.
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a symptom of just the drum machine thing that he's playing to or
right
what, but anyways.
It's like robot-y.
Yeah. His mix isn't very good either. His guitar is way too strong.
I was just saying, I can barely hear his vocals.
And his vocals are too weak, yeah.
But the way he sings reminds me of somebody. Like his voice. The way we go round. You know?
Oh, yeah. A little pre-chorus here.
It's building. Give me some Shamalama.
Yeah. See that? Well, for a hook, that's not that horrible. I mean, it kind of sticks in your head, and
yeah, it's not.
So, and he switches the chord changes up to not sure, but he's doing like a root 5 minor 6 4 something like that. And you know,
yeah,
it's like the real standard. And then minor chord back to the 4th, yeah, like that, you know. So
okay. Sounds like super early Sex Pistols.
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
kind of what I was thinking.
The voice.
It's like super raw, early kind of
Sex Pistols, Ramones,
proto punk or something. Yeah,
where it was still kind of rock and roll, but they're singing.
Yeah, and they're just doing power chords and yeah. Exactly. So,
but very slow. But very slow. Like if you went fast, kick it up, bro.
Oh yeah. You'd have a Ramones song.
Exactly.
Add some distortion and
yeah. Skipping.
Yeah, that's about all.
I found and shared that.
The airtime I want to give to that one, but
I think an in-studio performance.
Oh, that would be dope.
Wouldn't that be sick? One of us really needs to like befriend Rock on Steve. Because I seriously, I'm sure I've seen him around town. I couldn't pick him out from a lineup right now, though.
Oh, yeah.
That picture from the paper and then the one I just saw in your deal is all I've ever seen of him. But I would love to befriend this guy, see what's going on with him.
Yeah, when he first came to town, it was still kind of a novelty act. Kyle sent him an email or something. We're like, hey, man, I heard you play bass and stuff and like to rock or whatever. And we were renting Shannon Lemkuhl's old house on Orchard Lane. I had all the guitars and stuff set up in the basement. And we're like, this is perfect. We'll get Rock on Steve up here. And he sent some weird email back that was just like, I'm waiting for some copyrights from the government. And I, got some stuff in the works, but we can probably, figure something out. I don't know. It's just
Can't play any of my copyrighted material, though, because then I'd have to pay royalties to the aliens. It reminds me of that cat that used to, bum Central. Called himself Joker.
Oh.
But his real name was... his wife, or his mom, taught special ed at the middle school with a T, not Tossinson, Shane Trompeter.
Oh, yeah.
Shane Trompeter.
Yeah.
Because he always used to
He was always in outer space with different stuff.
Yeah, but he was like a huge buyer of alcohol. If you needed it, you could go buy and pick up Shane.
Back in the day,
take him to Come and Go Quick.
Hey man, give me a case of beer.
and he'd always be talking about how he's got spy patents and like the government. I mean, I'm sure he'd just been up for 8 days on meth or something like that, but. We were in high school. We didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know?
So what?
Who am I to judge?
Yep.
Talk to the aliens. It's always fun to get kind of weirdos.
Oh, yeah.
Weirdos are...
they're great. It's a spice of life, if you ask me.
You know, and as long as you treat them like humans and they don't know you're like mocking them.
Yeah.
Or like trying to rile them up. Like, usually it's a good kind of conversation, I guess, interaction at least. It's it's not dangerous or anything.
Yeah. If people are, that's obviously crosses the line when you're physically at risk or whatever. But yeah. I mean, I guess you sort of.
But if you just get them wound up, like we used to get Morphol wound up about aliens.
Oh yeah,
Mac versus PC and.
That was largely by design.
Yeah, Greenpeace.
Did you do your homework today? No. Did you? Shit.
We're going to need a 47-minute morph.
We need. I need a morph stat. Like, Mr. Morphew? Yes, Rosendahl. What is it? Can you tell us about vampires? You know, somebody was telling me that, the eyebrow.
You do the eyebrow? Well.
No.
A lot of people won't talk about this, but...
It was actually called the Mayete, not machete. I remember that.
I just loved his hanging with Snoop Dogg story.
Oh, yeah.
About when Al was out in Hollywood and Morph got to hang out with Snoop. Yeah, I hung out with Snoop Dogg. Did you smoke a J? Did you smoke a blunt with Snoop Dogg, Morph?
So I'm standing there, and this tall, skinny black guy gets out of a Cadillac.
Yeah.
And we start talking, and something, I don't know what happened, something down the street or whatever. And it's like, who are you, old man? I'm like, I'm Al's dad. Oh, you're that guy where Al gets all those country phrases from or something. Or, I'm not telling the story very well, but I feel like that was kind of the gist of it. Yeah. So.
And Al's around town. I see him every now and then.
Yeah.
They're doing photography, right?
As far as I know.
I know Sarah does a lot.
Well, I think they've got a sort of Morphew Studios as a penumbra of, a whole bunch of different stuff.
Oh.
I think they do websites and...
Nice.
I suppose Al's still doing music and...
No, sure.
Whatever else he's got going on, but... And then the photos and... So
she does really good photos.
Yeah.
I've seen some of her stuff.
Yeah, weddings and senior pics and whatever, I suppose.
I've only met her once or twice, I think. But I still see Sue running around town every now and then. Short little old dream catcher lady.
Yeah, she's done well, I think, since Larry passed away. I'm sure they all miss him. I think we all do. But... he
was a goofball, but he was a damn good guy.
Yeah. I think since he retired, though, man, he just kind of holed up at that farm and was just computing,
just getting weird,
smoking cigars and pipe and whatever, and just
working
hanging out. Yeah,
learn about Studebakers more.
He came to my wedding. That was the last time I kind of chatted with him, and then I saw him around not all that long before he passed away.
Yeah.
Somewhere he's out and about, but he looked tough. He
didn't do that much, yeah.
He looked tough last time I saw him.
Cancer
heart attack.
Heart attack?
Yeah.
He was a smoker forever.
Oh, yeah.
Straight, like you said.
Pipe, tobacco right in the pipe.
No filters.
Well, I don't think he gave a damn. He was figured he had a pretty good bite of the apple. And
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I think Sue keeps herself busy. Yeah. They got the little grandkid out there.
Well, and she's got live to 100 written all over.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
she does not look her age.
Superb health for 75 plus, whatever she is. Mm-hmm. And
walks around
all the time and active and sharp. So
I wonder if they still got I bet they still got the Studebaker out there then.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Morph sold. My fun fact is always that Studebaker got their start making wagons. That Morph told me that one time.
Did he?
Yeah.
Is it? Do we know if it's
I
true?
I didn't fact check it yet, but I've used that fact a lot, so I really hope he wasn't.
He didn't jack us, or I mean, a lot of that stuff was when he would address the class, with his vampires are real, kids.
Yeah,
I've seen one. Like that. Like that was just to get like Jewel and other people, see if he could get him to believe him.
Right.
But
Javi, you're just chaos, aren't you?
Remember he used to call Jewel Travi the rabbi?
Travi the rabbi. There's nothing Jewish about Jewel. And Peisk. Jewel and Peisk. They just stand next to him in the hallway.
Yeah.
Just morphing.
Mm-hmm. What the computer proficiency that I have, I owe in large part to Morph.
Yeah. You got me interested.
Yeah. For inspiring he created the interest in it. And
yeah.
I went from I would say average computer use in the year before to spending a lot of my free time on the computer in 8th grade.
Well, he's probably, wasn't that when you got your iMac too?
Yeah.
Right around
that time, yeah.
Because he was a big Apple guy.
Yeah.
Super into Apple, and they had just come out with was the i2? I don't remember there was a big processor that was released in the Power Mac, and there was a big tower Power Macs that looked all baller too.
Yeah, those are sweet.
And he had one of those, I remember.
Yeah.
Of course.
He had the big guns.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, needs computing power for what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
But no, that was my dad and I were talking. It was weird because the guy who taught the internet to my father and I was at the time like a 70-year-old former fire captain of Estro, Dave Knox.
Oh, okay.
Who Dad worked with down at City Hall.
Sure.
And got us into it. And it was funny because he knew so much more than either of us.
Yeah.
Because that's what one of his interests was like coding. And he taught me how Instant Messenger, ICQ, I still remember. Like, he was the gears behind all that.
Yeah. Right.
And just the exact opposite of today, which is interesting. Like, you get the little 5-year-olds who are way better than my parents on the phone.
That's wild, huh?
And I'm sure it's just because, they're sponge age. And
and they hand them a thing and they start playing with it and get it figured out.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, that was the same for me with just the home PC. I mean, it wasn't like I was getting into depth so much that I was programming anything, but just navigating the programs and figuring out, okay, well, how to change a setting and troubleshoot and basics and that kind of thing. Yeah, so you could solve a lot of how come my thing won't print, that kind of stuff. And to me, what I consider sort of...
Well, did you try?
Basic, yeah.
I mean, that's always my
Is it plugged in?
Yeah, turn it off, turn it back on, you know.
Is your computer recognizing the connection? Here's the problem. It's not your default printer, whatever.
Yeah. It amazes me because there is a generation in there, though. Like, some old guys loved it. Like, Morph, Dave, they loved it.
Yep.
Then, like, my dad's generation, my mom's, there's, like, a blank there.
Yeah.
Like, Dad likes technology, but he's not super hype on learning all the new stuff, keeping up with it. Like, and my mom, bless her, she hated texting and then learned she had to for work, and now she's okay at it.
Yeah.
But she still can't change a setting or anything.
Yeah, sure.
She just doesn't, because she doesn't try to.
Yeah.
Whereas our generation, like, that's what you do.
Yeah, Senior and Coral are kind of like that too. Dad got a new Buick, and everything is...
Oh, yeah?
It's like stepping into an iPad.
It's got a
touch everything
touch
and
screen.
Cameras and, your phone you step in and your phone just gets sucked out of your pocket and absorbed into car console magically, and it's like, what?
Does he use his cameras?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's been he had a terrible time like the first couple of weeks.
My mom's had hers for 2 years now. She still doesn't use the backup camera.
Yeah.
Says, I don't trust it. I go, Ma, it's literally a live feed
Yeah.
behind you. Like,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He's not super scared of stuff, but he gets, it frustrates him when he can't get it to work,
Yeah.
So I wind up bailing him out.
Did he get Enclave? Or what did he get for a
He
Buick?
has a Buick. Oh, it's in the
car?
It's an SUV, something.
Oh, that's Enclave?
I don't know I'm not sure what the
I
model
think.
is.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, it's
They're actually really comfy to ride in,
yeah.
too.
It's a nice car.
I like my Buick. Getting up there, though.
Yeah.
I'm getting the itch to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, with winter coming, I sit too low to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not that I get stuck or my tires don't work. It's that I bottom out. And
Yeah.
then what are you going to do?
Right.
And try to dig it out or
Yeah.
push it. And I'm sick of dealing with that. So I think I'm going to switch over to SUV.
Yeah, not a bad move.
Never had one.
Yeah, they're handy.
We had a little Blazer, I think, for a little while.
Oh,
but
yeah.
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 But, well, what else we got?
Yeah, I was going to see if you wanted to. I want to find a video on that. So, the news, I guess, on the Epstein thing.
Yeah. That was
an interesting
medical
subject
examiner.
matter. Yeah, it appears like there was some sort of a news
ABC.
cover up. Yeah.
ABC. Apparently they had the story ready, locked and loaded 3 years ago.
Yeah, I want to see if we can find a decent video on that.
Because there's one that actually has the hot mic.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Rohrbach. She's going to get Epsteined now.
Do you think... do you think it'd be this one maybe? The Veritas or something? Or which, I don't want to click on an ABC video.
Right.
It would have to be a recent one here because this came out in a day
2
or
days
so
ago.
ago.
Yeah. I think any of them should be all right.
Look for the latest. Find one that's shorter.
Deep State working
We'll try
with
this
MSM.
one.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
Wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
Here's my thing, though. Like, that last one was claiming Deep State working with MSM. To me, that's not Deep State. That's the oligarchs. That's the folks with all the money.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, working with the mainstream media.
Is that your distinction there though? I guess. So what do you constitute as deep state and
what I've always heard deep state be described as is I haven't heard the term really until the whole Trump thing came up, and that it was like senior FBI officials working against him to try to get him ousted.
Oh, like heads of departments that are working in
like
cahoots.
Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and all those folks. Like I heard that's what I think of when I think of deep state.
Yeah.
In this context, I think of it as all the rich people, the oligarchs with all the money, and then ABC saying, because honestly, excuse me.
Right,
Sorry about that, folks. Or folk, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if any. I don't think
anyone's
anybody's
watching.
watching. No worries.
You know, to me, it's the rich folks who are then saying, okay, well, if you put this out, you're never going to cover a royal wedding. You're
Yeah.
never going to cover anything to do with England, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge moneymaker for ABC. Like those royal weddings.
Oh, yeah.
For ABC, CNN, all those places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom wakes up in the middle of the night to watch that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's worldwide. So I understand it's a sticky wicket, but at some point, you'd like to think that morals would.
Yeah,
Trump
exactly. I
money,
think that's
you
the
know?
thing that was so uncomfortable about this is that they've got people that are, you know, well, it appears here from, I mean, I would hope that people could look at a videotape and then agree on what reality is. So, I mean,
Correct.
you know, we've got a scathing videotape here that really puts a lot of egg on ABC's face.
But here's the thing, though, too. So this is a scathing video. This is just a lady saying something. Let's see all this proof she had. She said she had it. Mm-hmm. Did it just disappear then?
Yeah.
Like, what happened to it? I guess,
Right.
you know, this could be somebody just puffing up their chest saying, and after the fact, oh, I could have had this 4 years ago, and
Yeah, it's true.
you know, trying to boost your cred while kind of crapping on your employer.
Yeah. But I guess maybe, although the context here is it's like in between takes or something or
Right.
whatever, and they're just spitballing, so it's not like
True. It's not like she went out.
she was out, you know, making a press conference or something saying all this stuff.
But I guess my thing is now let's see it.
Yeah.
Let's see all this proof. Mm-hmm. I mean, guy's gone. Let's take all these other pervs out with him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a push to that because this was like news for a day. And then,
Well, and then, yeah, I wonder if the proof even exists anymore. If
Right.
if we grant the hypothesis here is true, that they had all sorts of information,
Correct.
and then
They had
somebody
pictures.
said, nope, let's just forget about this one.
are these witnesses dead?
Yeah.
Like she said she has a bunch of corroborating witnesses.
What happened to everybody? And,
Right. And they probably got paid off.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's other evidence too that Prince Andrew's a perv
Yeah.
and was doing unsightly things.
But,
As
yeah.
with Clinton, I mean, he was documented hanging out with this dude a lot.
Well, I mean, you alluded to the thing somewhere a minute or two ago, which is the point that I'm the least comfortable with, and that is the censorship element to it, I think, or the choosing, you know, like assuming that the stuff is true, you know, why
Money over
take the
morals.
money over the story? Because, I mean, how many more little girls or something
Yeah.
got implicated in this?
And,
Again,
and
assuming
it's alleged,
true.
it's alleged hundreds to thousands were involved in all this crap.
Yeah.
And there's still one of his like right hand ladies who was always with Epstein, who is supposedly a groomer of these young women, is out and about. Like she's never been arrested.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of evidence saying, hey, she should be investigated.
Yeah.
And you know what? You don't hear about an open investigation still into this. Like, yeah, he died. Things still were really messed up. And there was other people's. It wasn't one guy.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is such an interesting story and kind of a unique, because this is like in the most divisive country politically we've had maybe since the Civil War era,
Yeah.
or shortly thereafter or something like that. We've got people on right, left, center.
Everyone agrees this guy's
Oh, yeah.
a pile.
And
And nothing's being done.
this whole story is a pile. And it's just disgusting. And whoever you think is out there really with the puppet strings, deep state, oligarchy, whatever.
Q,
yeah, whoever. Somebody had this guy offed.
Yep.
Due to all the information and all the implications of like a trial going to discovery and then testimony and
that's
that kind
the
of
thing. What happened to all the stuff they pulled off of his island and out of his apartments and his little appointment books, and there's all that stuff. Can't you, and I guess legally, that's the question. So going to discovery is where you have a specific charge on somebody, you're getting the evidence for that, and it's shared with both sides equally, right? So that they can prepare for the trial.
So like maybe I'm going to use a context of a civil case just for the purposes of an easy explanation. So you've got a civil matter would be, just anything that's non-criminal. So like
one
maybe
party versus another.
One party versus, so like say a contract dispute or something.
Sure.
So you got two different interpretations of something, and then, one side has got evidence to support their claim for variety, whatever it might be. Other side's got their stuff. So you don't necessarily know as a petitioner in a lawsuit what the defendant potentially has. So you send them like interrogatories. I want to see all your emails. I want to see all your texts. I want to see, that kind of thing.
Right.
And anywhere that you think there might be discoverable evidence somewhere that you could use for your case,
you claw out.
You claw and you dig it up. And you can get in big trouble for getting rid of evidence. It's called spoliation, that kind of thing. So yeah, but that's the idea, is that everybody kind of gets to see everything and stuff gets excluded, and then people bicker over details and that kind of thing. And
so what happens in a case where it's the government versus Jeffrey Epstein, say? The government goes in, I assume it's FBI, I think it's federal.
Yep.
So they're getting all this stuff. They gather all the evidence from his house, from his island, from
Sure.
his planes, from all these areas to use against him.
Right.
He knows what they have. But he dies.
Right. Now what?
Now what? What happens to that evidence that potentially shows crimes of other people? Can it be analyzed? Can it be used?
Yeah, that's a good question.
To then send out deposition, or at least...
Well, could that be used to implicate somebody else and then
Correct.
raise charges on them? Yeah.
Yeah, Prince Andrew, say.
That's a good question.
Say you have an appointment book that says Prince Andrew wants 2 redheads and a blonde on March 13th. And you have, he had closed circuit TV cameras that captured him going in on March 13th.
Right.
And people going in. Like, can you then, because that wasn't legally obtained, was that legally obtained because was that guy under investigation?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with the government, I think the long answer is probably they could use that somehow to, I mean, like, yeah, you're right. There's potentially like illegal search and seizure potentially, or,
because it
objections for relevance purposes or something like that.
Because it wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the reason why they're getting into stuff is based on something else. Now that is a moot issue because the guy's dead, so they're not going to charge a dead guy. And the investigation would stop at that time. But you're right. It's like if under the circumstances you discover somebody else is guilty of something, there's reason to be suspicious at least. And yeah, I mean,
I don't see why, because it's the same thing as like cops get called out to a house for a noise complaint. You don't ignore the body in the den.
Exactly.
Just because you weren't there initially for the noise complaint.
Yep. So there, I mean, the defense counsel of whoever was being implicated therein would like throw up every barricade they possibly could, obviously. And that's why I say I think the long answer is probably
there's a way.
Yeah. So
you'd have to do some legal jujitsu, I'm sure. And these people are super mega rich, so they're going to have the best defense attorneys.
So, and then what's the answer there? Either maybe they didn't get all that much stuff that was necessarily that damning. I mean, that's a possibility.
Possible.
Or
but then I feel
they
like
don't care.
I feel like why would Jeffrey Epstein be Epsteined?
Mm-hmm.
For like, if they didn't have any evidence, then he wouldn't be found guilty.
Yeah, hard to say. Where does at what point do we get out of the rotten part of the apple and then into the part where the people are like doing their job? And that's a question I can't answer. I mean, if you're going to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, why not say, well, the entire FBI department is paid off by these oligarchs,
right?
So.
Well, I mean, the buck stops at the top. So it goes to A.G. Barr, who works for Trump, who is photographed with Epstein, who they all are part of the freaking owl worshippers that Alex Jones found out or whatever. But it's enough to make you sick as a regular person, isn't it?
Oh, it's the worst.
The total disregard for any sort of law. By any party, period. Yeah. It's if you're it's not even a party thing. It's if you're rich or not. I feel like if you're rich and connected, because it's not just rich, because I think if they could take down like Zuckerberg, they'd take him down in a heartbeat because he's not part of the old boys club rich. Elon Musk, same thing. He's not like the Kennedys rich. You know what I mean? Like the old connected money rich. And really Trump isn't. Like he was kept out of a lot of those social circles for years and years.
George Carlin had a really interesting, it was part of a comedy bit or something. And what you're saying
damn smart, though.
Reminded me of something like, but the joke, what really wasn't a joke. It was just kind of a rant about the same stuff that we're talking about here. And it's, the gist of it was it's like you don't need a formalized conspiracy for people with the same interests to want the same things, kind of.
Okay.
So it's all, think of your cabal of big money, whatever circles they might be, they all living in New York City or, kind of the
Hamptons.
Power hubs of the world where all the, influence and stuff is. And, they don't have to have secret meetings in a basement somewhere to like let's do this. Kind of like this kind of evil
plotting
that you'd think of in a movie. But, they own all the best real estate and they own all the companies and all the parent companies of all the companies that you can think of. And they wield a terrific amount of power and influence.
Incredible amounts.
And they buy off the government. And the government does what they want.
Yeah. Because money's speech. Money's speech. Citizens United. That was a poor ruling.
Yeah.
Did you guys study that much in con law?
I took not in con law. I hit on it I took an election law class.
Oh.
As just an elective once.
That'd be interesting.
In summer. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Unfortunately, I was, summertime, I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
So I slacked pretty hard in that class. I didn't read
Dive too deep.
Yeah. And I didn't have to for class either because it was just kind of talking. And, yeah. So of course, if I wasn't absolutely required, I mailed it in otherwise. But I still got my case book and everything. So
yeah. See, I mean, it's Citizens United it changed a lot. The PACs.
That's a super PAC
and
case,
now the super PACs and the amount of money you can donate and how easy it would be to funnel in from anywhere.
Yeah.
Offshore accounts or other countries or and that's what makes you think, why aren't these like cartels, or are they? Are drug cartels, are they siphoning up money somehow into a super PAC that keeps drugs, the war on drugs going? Or, I don't know. It's and there's no way to find out because once it hits that super PAC, it's untraceable.
Yeah,
and that's scary.
Right.
Yeah. And
I sure don't like it. I mean, individual campaign finance donation limits are pretty low. I think you can.
What is it? It's like 1,700 or
Yeah, it's like a couple $1,000 or something. Like if you wanted to go donate to, say, Bernie Sanders or something, you personally are cut off at $2,500, say, or
whatever
something.
It is.
A fairly nominal amount of money. But the sky's the limit.
If you want to donate to a super PAC,
if you want to donate to a super PAC that can donate to Bernie Sanders,
Yeah, and they're not supposed to coordinate.
But that's horseshit.
Yeah. They do. The same people,
Yeah. And it's so thinly veiled horseshit that it's just like laughably bad.
It is. It is. My buddy Kyle, if we want to talk about things that are just laughably bad, he shot me out this link tonight showing how God, this was good too. Shoot. The RNC. Okay, here it is. So the RNC paid a bunch of automated calls targeting elected Democrats to tie up their phone lines. So Democrats who are serving as congresspeople or governors, they had automated calls call their offices to tie them up just over and over and over again. They sent survey calls out to people and asked if they supported impeachment. And if they did, then they tied them up even longer. If they opposed, it put them through straight to the Democratic congressperson's phone line to voice the opposition. So it basically cut off any calls supporting impeachment to Democratic legislatures. And it's completely legal, apparently.
Yeah.
11,000 automated calls to jam up House Democrats' phone lines amid this impeachment battle, which gets started next Wednesday, the first open hearing.
Yeah.
We get to watch on TV.
Yeah, my whole take on, I mean, I'll be curious to see how it all shakes down.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I mean, I don't think the votes are there in the Senate to remove from office.
It's absolutely not. You're correct.
So, it's like the idea of a removal here, I think, is just not going to happen. Now, whether or not there's successful with an impeachment, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing either. Does Trump's base flip out?
No.
And well, if they're successful with an impeachment,
right,
and then Trump is able to say, "Oh, they're after me with a witch hunt. Look at them, blah blah blah," but they didn't remove me from office because the Senate, knows that I'm
right,
a virtuous president, and so on and so. Does that galvanize the base and get them to turn out? I don't know.
The base is turning out regardless. Period. 30% of the voting populace will vote for Donald Trump, whether or not anything happens. This isn't for those votes. This is for any independents and the non-rabid Trumpers in the Republican Party, I feel. And I think the Democrats know that. They know they're not going to get a removal in the Senate. So they're hoping for one of two things. I think they're hoping for either that there is enough of a turn in the numbers that he gets scared of losing and he just he drops out. I don't think that'll happen. Or two, that they can gin up enough evidence that this guy's a scumbag.
Yeah.
That
to make it look bad.
That they just run over him in 2020.
Yeah.
Which I think is the more likely scenario. Because the testimony that's coming out, it's pretty freaking clear that this was exactly what they're saying it was.
Have they released any testimony?
A lot of it.
Okay.
So a lot of
I haven't been following it too closely, so I don't know.
So the former ambassador to the EU got released. That was Sondland, I think was his name. Sondland.
Okay.
Then he came out and added to his testimony because other testimony had been released saying that he knew about it. And then, so he added to it. He's like, oh, yeah, of course, that bribery. And then Bill Taylor, who was the top U.S. diplomat to Ukraine, came out today. And this little excerpt here was hilarious. The question was, and when you say that, this was the first time I heard that the security assistance, not just the White House meeting, was conditioned on the investigation. When you talk about conditioned, did you mean that if they didn't do this, the investigations, they weren't going to get that, the meeting and the military assistance? He says, that was my clear understanding. Security assistance money would not come until the president of Ukraine committed to pursue the investigation. So then the questioner goes, so if they don't do this, they're not going to get that, was your understanding? Answer, yes, sir. B, are you aware that quid pro quo literally means this for that? I am.
Yeah.
I mean, now if they have, because, you know, it's matching testimonies now. It's a lot of, it's Volker, it's Sondland, it's this Taylor, it's all matching up. And they did it independently, which was smart. So you couldn't corroborate stories. Nothing could actually come out.
Right.
You get them all on the same page under oath. And then now you do it in public. So now they'll all be back. They'll have to answer for their deposition. So they'll be questioned on their deposition.
Right.
In front of the American public.
Sure.
And then you'll have your media audio clips that they'll be playing.
It's interesting. I mean, what little I've heard about this, it's so the partisan news coverage. I mean, you know, you listen to Ben Shapiro talk about something, and it's, oh, they're just, you know, rubbing blank pieces of paper together and dancing around a, you know, burning flag or something in these closed door inquiry hearings or something. And then you listen to like the Young Turks coverage of the same thing, and it's just like, hang them high, we got them, you know, it's world. Right. And I'm be so curious to hear like some C-SPAN just rolling tape so I can make a determination for myself about where I fall on this whole thing.
My big thing, like, there has been no attack on substance. It's been an attack on procedure, right? They've really, the right really has hated the closed door sessions in the SCIF, that they say Republicans couldn't be president and the president's council couldn't be present, and Republicans could be present if you were on that committee. You could sit there, you could ask your questions, you could have your staffers there, you could have your lawyers there to ask questions. That was allowed. The rules were actually drawn up by the Republicans, and this is exactly what they did for the Benghazi hearings.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, 'twas ever thus with the federal government, is that you bitch about the rules the instant that they don't suit you.
Yeah.
And then the minute you can change them to favor you,
right,
then you do. And
well, and it's just what happened with it when the Dems got screwed during Obama's second term, when they didn't have a veto proof or a filibuster proof majorities.
Yeah,
they put in these, the Dems put in these filibuster rules, and the Republicans are like, okay, we're going to use the rules that are there. And
yep.
You know.
Yeah, stuff comes back to bite you. It's
so I think it'll be interesting to see it play out.
Yeah, me too.
And I just love watching mental gymnastics, because I really do think he's. I mean, to me, it's pretty clear cut. I obviously haven't seen any defense yet. Any real defense besides read the transcript.
Yeah.
And it's a memo. It's not a transcript. It's not verbatim.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm going to try to reserve judgment, I guess, until stuff comes out. But I'll be curious to see. I would hope that principled people, I mean, you know, the burden of proof was on the accuser.
Absolutely.
Satisfy that burden of proof, and it, you know, meets the rules for what should, you know, require impeachment, then my hope is that, you know, people will follow the law. But
in this hyper partisan though?
I don't know. Yeah.
When it's not a jury, it's the Senate. Mm-hmm. You know, it's literally by definition partisan.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot. You know, it takes a 67.
Huge, big super majority. Yeah. So it's
you know, you really have to have someone dead to rights, or like I said, if the writing's on the wall, that the American people are convinced and that they will vote your ass out, then it could be a quick swing. You could, you could see those if the polls got convincing, because really, the polls now are about equal to what Nixon's polls were prior to the televised impeachment hearings. By the end of the House doing their duty, it was like 80% said he had to go.
Yeah.
And they saw the writing on the wall, and he resigned.
So, okay. Do you think that, one of your plans there, your kind of hypotheticals was like they create enough of a case to sway enough of the public to vote the other direction, and just how much of that is dependent on who is the Democrat nominee for the 2020 race? Because I I wonder if enough of the country would say, well, because the concern here is even under this scenario that they've got a great case against Trump and they're successful with an impeachment, there's so much media, and all this obfuscation and that kind of thing that people, and I don't know, are people even paying that close of attention anymore? And then you combine that with a Democrat nominee that's too far to the left for your moderate people. Are they going to think, well, Trump's probably a scumbag, but the status quo isn't too far left,
Right.
The status quo is at least not super far off to the left,
Which, and American politics are interesting that way. That we consider someone like, like Liz Warren, she'd be what people would consider a centrist liberal in England, in other countries. Like, that's not a crazy lefty. The U.S., the center, exact center, is actually like moderate Republican. I would argue, and that our whole spectrum has kind of shifted a bit to the right.
That's interesting.
Whereas Bernie Sanders would be more your classic socialist, democratic socialist candidate.
Yep.
I think in terms of Dems, I think it'll be Liz Warren, and then maybe like Julian Castro or someone that's a little bit more moderate, not establishment, because you can't really run Liz Warren with, like Joe Biden types.
Sure.
I don't think. Anyway, but it could, or Amy Klobuchar, someone who is like that. I don't know. I've lost. I vote left most always, and I've lost interest in the Dems right now.
Yeah,
completely, because Joe Biden's still even being talked about. Yeah, I don't think he should even be talked about.
Right.
The way he's just lackluster.
Sleepy Joe.
He is. Yeah. Trump's not wrong. I think he's wrong on most everything he does. but he not on that. Nails that. Joe Biden he's just a puddle of goo that's there. He's always been there.
Yeah.
He'll always be there in some capacity.
Just an empty suit.
Yes. And we had that already. That was Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
She lost.
Yeah.
Biden loses to Trump 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, I would say, Biden loses to Trump. Liz, I think she's smart. I think she's really intelligent. I don't like all of her thoughts.
I guess the thing that bugs me about her, she's had a career in academia, and nothing against academics, but I feel like academics tend to ivory tower a little harder than other folks, because they're not out running a small business or, whatever it might be.
I suppose I'd prefer academia than someone who'd been in politics all their life, or somebody who was born on third base and thought they hit a triple, like Trump.
Yeah.
Know?
Well, I mean, you understand what I'm saying. I think,
I do.
I think the element of practical application of ideas is useful, in addition to maybe a theoretical understanding of everything, like
Absolutely.
you maybe have in academia. But
and I don't think anything's that crazy. I really don't think anything she's proposing is that crazy. I know there's a lot of people pissed about the wealth tax of hers. Like a 7% on your gross and it's for
worth. Dollars above, or for net worths above a certain threshold or something.
But it's a stupid threshold.
Yeah, well, it's super high. I mean, I guess you can be this rich in the United States.
Yes,
is the rule.
Well, sort of. I mean, even if you take 7% off of Bezos, he doesn't notice that. That's in his.
Where's the money coming from, though? Because how much of that net worth is, like, because when you pay tax, you actually have to hand over
a check.
And
a lot of the net worth is tied up in stock.
And the net worth is value assigned to stock, And
I honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's just a kind of a prima facie problem with that
of
super high wealth thing. Because, I mean, so when I hear that, I'm like, oh, that's like a non-starter. It's just something that sounds really good.
And it does sound well. And I don't think it would be straight up like that.
Yeah.
I think it would be an increase in corporate tax. I think it'd be an increase on income tax.
Yep.
Probably increase in capital gains taxes. Places, deleting some of these pass-throughs that make it so you can avoid tax.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I don't have a firm enough grasp on taxes and tax law.
We got to get an accountant on here sometime.
Mike Woods is in town.
Yeah.
I ran into him.
Yep.
I don't think he does tax. I think he does not corporate well, sort of.
I think he's a CFO or something, or a controller or something for Artsway, isn't he?
At Artsway. Yeah.
So
he does, but
he's in their
finance department. Some interest.
Oh yeah, well he used to do taxes. I know.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wasn't he? Was he at Nelson?
He was at Brinkman and Reed, I think, for a couple of years. Yep. I think the hours probably.
Yeah, that suck.
They earn their money from January 1 to April 15.
Plus, just sitting there doing taxes. I hate doing mine, and I just plug it into Quicken real quick.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's interesting. It needs restructured. The whole thing needs thrown out and rewritten, to tell you the truth. Because to really know the ins and outs of tax, you got to have 16 attorneys that know the code.
And 50 accountants.
Yeah. And then you don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a job creator, I guess, because you're keeping those guys in paychecks. But,
yeah. And that stuff's, I think anybody would agree that kind of boiled down version of it is bogus. And it shouldn't be that way. I think that would be something
a reasonable person.
A reasonable person would get that. Yeah. Where I always get lost on the tax discussion is when we start getting into the minutia, and there's, something that sounds, this, like, say, for example, this capital gain, like if we bump the capital gains rate from 15% to 35%, then finally these rich jackasses that just hedge money and stuff in Wall Street will pay their fair share. But, what I always get concerned about are what about the guy that's selling his house or sells his rental house or something like that, and he's got a low basis because he bought it 25 years ago.
Sure.
And, so the concern always would be not about the blanket changes to the rules, but whether or not those exceptions are going to exist so as to not implicate your kind of meat and potatoes person out there in a negative way.
Well, and I think we can all agree about the jet personal exemption can be gone, and the yacht, and there's all kinds of these ridiculous personal that there's no way they'll ever touch your meat and potatoes guy.
Right.
I mean, I just think it's bogus that I pay 38% probably all in, somewhere around there.
Income,
40 probably, just saves 40 with all in. Compared to Trump, compared to Mitt Romney, he paid 12, I think, of what we saw.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett pays 16. You know, his secretary pays a higher percentage, and it means more to her than it does to him.
Yeah.
You know, so there's got to be a way to do it. Someone who's smarter at it than me has to figure it out, but it's something that has to be addressed.
Yeah. What do you think of the argument of, well, you know, if we tax corporations too much, I mean, they're just going to ship everything to Taiwan or wherever they can get away with having their business elsewhere. And
they already have.
Yeah.
The ones that can have. You know? Walmart doesn't make anything in the U.S. You know? And less or less people are, but we're not a manufacturing economy anymore. You know, we're moving towards a service economy. Manufacturing, like, they keep talking about how bringing manufacturing jobs back and stuff. Our manufacturing sector shrunk the last 2 quarters. We're at the lowest level of manufacturing in the U.S. in forever. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's an evolution of a society.
Well, if we do run off the wealth, you know, the highest echelon of 1% people, the highest.
Well, they won't leave.
You don't think so?
No.
Not even if they, you know, if the government comes along with a tax package that says there's no damn way that you can get out of.
Where are they going to go and pay less?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there might be somewhere.
Where are they going to go and A, pay less, B, want to live? Yeah, you could go to Somalia. You don't want to live there.
Yeah. Have
the rights that they have in the U.S. And 4, be able to buy the political influence that they can. You know, are all these rich little pansies going to be moving down to Congo and starting up and being warlords? And
yeah. Well, if they have that, I mean, if they have the depth of money like we're talking about here, I would think the sky would be the limit for them.
They already could, though.
Yeah. But you know, if they haven't yet, because they've been able to buy their way through everything here in the United States, if that suddenly stops, then I mean, to me, it would seem logical. It's figure out somewhere else to go where they can buy their way into the government and make it work in their favor.
I think that's too hypothetical for me. I don't think it would happen. Because as much as I bitch, I still think this is the best damn country in the world. And you enjoy a lot of perks just being an American citizen. And I think that would be worth it to them. Plus, you can't just move to another country. Like, you got to become a citizen. You got to do all this stuff. A lot of countries are going to have higher taxes, even if we raise our taxes a bit.
Yeah.
You know? And I think if you go to Canada or something and you all of a sudden you have to pay 40%. Well, we just wanted you to pay 35% on this form of income, this on this income, you know? I honestly, I don't see it. Maybe it would happen.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm a little too cynical to, I mean, I hope that you're kind of, I hope that for the theoretical purposes of this discussion and, you know, making people pay their fair share that should, I hope you're right.
Right.
I don't know. I'm skeptical. I think.
You think they'd move?
I think somewhere else would say, hey, we can be bought and sold here in, you know, Moldova or
maybe,
you know, Ukraine or, you know, take your pick, Poland, something like that.
Sure.
We don't give a shit. Yeah, bring your 80% of the wealth over here.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
I don't know.
Very.
I'd be scared because I mean the trend I guess that I see is when you start to feel like you're not making the maximum dollar in a freely moving society. shift and run away somewhere else.
I mean, if you think about it, though, they're already not. You could maximize that dollar somewhere else.
Well,
what's to stop them from moving to China?
Yeah.
And becoming rich-ass oligarchs.
Yeah, I guess I don't know the ins and outs to know whether or not it isn't. I mean, my assumption would be that people would stay where they could make the most money. You know, if we're talking about this kind of unique,
right,
ultra wealthy class of people, the oligarchs, so to speak.
And I tend to not think so.
Okay.
Because let's look at Bezos. Bezos, richest man, him and Bill Gates, richest men in the world.
Yep.
They're not going to have the people they need in their uppers in Poland. You know, they're not going to have the infrastructure they need for their operation for Amazon in Poland. Microsoft, you're not going to have Silicon Valley. You're not going to have every programmer in the world within, you know, a 4-hour radius of you.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, maybe there'd be some limits there, some stickiness points that would incentivize them to stay longer than they might.
And they could already
otherwise.
They can already and do already move their money to other countries for havens.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the old joke is the Swiss bank account, right? Or the, you know, have an account in the Caymans.
You know, how many trillion? The estimate was like $4 trillion are parked off coast in different accounts.
Sure.
That our IRS can't tax. That you can't touch.
Yep.
And so they've already been doing that.
Yeah.
I think you have a one-time repatriation. You bring it back. No fine. You pay 1%. I don't know what it is, but you can bring that back into the U.S. You can use it. You can, because right now it's tied up there. They can use it abroad maybe, but you can't bring it into the U.S.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got to explain that to the tax man.
Right.
Tax man gonna get you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Goddamn tax man.
Oh yeah.
I think my taxes are too high. I don't make a ton of money. I make good money for Esterville.
Yeah. Right.
I don't make a ton comparatively.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Right. And it's.
I always thought it was funny when I was growing up, and then you'd look at and it said like middle class was 60,000 to 230,000. I'm like 230,000 is not middle class in Esterville.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's like baller. You know.
Right. Sure is. Yeah, it all depends on
where you
cost of living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be wildly different.
Which is also interesting. You know, talk about that. The differences in state taxes. You know, some states don't have any income tax. That can save you a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Trump's moving down to Florida after he's done with presidency. He said establishing permanent residency down there. Florida doesn't have an income tax. Has no estate tax. That saves him millions.
Sure.
And people do that into Texas, and I think, well, they don't go to the Dakotas. Don't have income tax.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got kind of a philosophical problem with the estate tax. I mean, I understand what the point of it is, like to suck into that kind of generational wealth that sort of just snowballs, and you know, you get. I have all the money, and you know, we just keep it forever, and nobody gets it, and that kind of thing.
Kennedy's.
Yeah, it's that kind of. I mean, that's
what it was intended for.
That's the point of it.
Right.
The problem is with it. I mean, I guess if the threshold is too low for when federal estate tax gets implicated,
right,
then you've got the risk of somebody who's potentially asset rich but cash poor being burdened by the estate tax. And the obvious example would be a farmer.
Correct.
You know, land values $10,000 an acre, you know, bought the farm back in 52 and grandpa finally kicked the bucket, but you know, now his heirs to the farm have to sell off a quarter section or something just to pay the federal estate tax. And the fairness of that kind of a situation is a little hard for me to
And I get that.
to get behind.
Especially being in farmland. Like, I totally understand that because it doesn't take a lot
Yeah.
of farmland. I mean, because it's what, 10 million?
It's 11 million per couple, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something 5.5 or whatever for an individual.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's the federal tax exclusion for estate
And
tax.
so you can get there as a farmer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With assets. Mm-hmm. Because all that equipment, all your land.
I mean, it'd be, $11 million would be a pretty big farm operation, but it's not so wild and out of control that you've never heard of it before
Right.
either, And the obvious solution there is dilute the estate by various mechanisms, set up some sort of a irrevocable trust, or you gift things, and
It's not hard to do.
it can be done, and that's the dance around procedure, and that's just called
Right.
estate planning.
Yeah.
To try to get it under that threshold. But I guess I'm talking just kind of the basic principles of stuff, and
Sure.
if that exclusion is too low, that's the problem I have, because
Yeah.
here you've penalized somebody who has a relatively small thing. I mean, it's not Rockefeller money or
Right.
something like that, and it's theoretically money that they have already paid tax on once.
Yep.
On the income side of things, bought the asset, and now they're getting hammered again
Well,
just for dying.
to be fair, the person who's dying isn't getting hammered.
Well, yeah, their
The
estate
person,
is, yeah.
the person who is a recipient of something that they didn't buy, that they didn't pay tax on, is getting hammered.
Yeah,
And I guess that's my argument on it is that person hasn't been taxed
but is that? I mean,
because you're still acquiring it.
Yeah, but I mean,
If I get my loans forgiven, I have to pay that as an income. I have
Yeah.
to pay income tax on that.
right. And is that fair though? I mean, that's
I think
another
so.
discussion.
I think so. It's earned benefit.
Yeah,
It makes my net worth go up.
yeah, but I mean, I guess my counter to your counter would be we've got property rights in this country, and
We do.
yeah, and that, I mean, I think of like using the farm as the example. You've got robust property rights and that sort of thing. And included in those property rights is the ability to gift it to somebody.
That's true.
And to tax that, gift or something by will or intestate succession or something like that to a lineal descendant, for the tax man to dip in there, again, this is all pretext with too low of an exclusion, because if
Correct.
it's beyond a number that the average person wouldn't care about, so what?
And I'm fine with it going up from 11. Mm-hmm. Take it up to 20, 25 mil.
Sure.
You want to hit, because even if Bill Gates giving away 99% of his wealth, he's still going to get hit.
Yeah.
Federal state tax.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Get hit all over the
on
place.
1% of his assets. And I guess I don't know if he'll get then that 99% of his wealth written off. So maybe it'll be null. I don't know how all that works. But regardless, that's the money you want to prevent from happening. Mm-hmm. And raise that up to 20, 25 million. You'd have to see what the actual demographics are.
Yeah.
I think, and the actual spread of wealth. How many people are at 20 million versus 10 million versus 50 million?
And in a runaway inflation economy,
Yeah.
what used to be a huge estate, $1 million 30 years ago or something.
Right. That's nothing.
I mean,
It's a good size.
it's for around here, it's kind of a bigger one, but it's, yeah. You go over to West Lake and see how many, you got $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1 million estates are falling out of trees over there.
Right.
So
It's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, someone smarter than me has to figure it out.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like it has to be addressed. Mm-hmm. As well as spending. And I hate Obama spent a lot of money. And we've continued to spend a lot of money.
Yeah. That's another problem.
The deficit's still
outrageous.
It's $1 trillion deficit.
Yeah.
We had it worked down to, Obama's down to like 600 million, or billion, which is still ridiculous.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's back up now to $1 trillion.
It should be zero.
It should be zero.
It should be a surplus, actually.
It actually should.
It shouldn't be a deficit at all.
And the last time we balanced the budget, Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton, and they worked together, and they got it done. But we didn't have a freaking war going on, much less war on a bunch of different fronts.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the Middle East, Syria pull? And it's not really even a pull. It's more of a shuffle because we just sent 14,000 troops over to Saudi Arabia.
I thought I talked about that with somebody, but I can't remember who.
The whole military-industrial machine complex thing is wild.
Yeah.
Because that's where our spending is. It's not food stamps.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I do love that Kevin's on the one single payer Medicare medical side of things.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I would so much rather have discussions about what we're talking about right now than, this nonsense kind of like whatever, just the constant barrage of information about like different things in the federal government from the news. It's just like
the news cycle.
Just the news cycle of like, oh, we got got a bombshell thing today about something, like
this transgender person was. How many times have we hit on transgender and talking? We talk about it a lot. But if you talk I'd love to have one whole talk about medicine. That's my meat and potatoes.
Sure.
It's a huge in our country. It's a $3 trillion industry. It's and I've worked for nonprofit hospitals. I've worked for-profit medicine. Like I've seen that's an ugly place.
Yeah.
My last hospital, if you're on Medicare or Medicaid, you got to stay in the hospital until that funding ran out. When they said you had to go, you're out.
Yeah.
I don't care the status of you. They don't care anything. If you have commercial insurance, when that stops paying, you're done. Get the hell out of the door. Make room for the next sad sack we can suck in.
Right.
It's not about keeping people healthy. It's about how many beds can you fill.
Well, it's the Applebee's model to running a restaurant, You
Correct.
Crank the music up, and you got this hyperactive waitress bringing you the microwaved food, and okay, can I get anything else for you? Here's your check. See ya.
In out, get out.
Right.
We got a table 6 waiting. Yeah, it is, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
And there's no checks on that. It's and seeing it from the pharmacy outpatient.
Yeah.
Like in the pharmacy side of things is really interesting too. Because also, if we do a Canada-like system, in Canadians, their medication's not covered under their universal health plan. But they have robust caps and robust controls over what drug companies can charge. Here we don't. It's a purely capitalistic. They say what they want, and that's what they're gonna sell it for. And it's bogus.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know we talked about this a little bit before, but like maybe in the corner of pills or something, the copyright durations and that sort of thing, that allow for
brand.
You got
your brand names.
You got the exclusivity thing, and you can charge through the roof until it opens up for generics or that whatever. I'm not doing a very good job of articulating.
No, that's exactly.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Things like that, and then I don't know.
Well, and just how much you can physically squeeze a person for a drug that it might be the only drug on the market that treats what they have. You know, there's some rare cancers where there's one form of chemo that can treat them. That's $30,000 an injection. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No one can afford that.
Yeah.
Rich people can't afford
Except for our oligarchs, right?
Yeah. Except the oligarchs.
No wonder they all live forever. It's a bunch of vampires.
It is. That's who Morph saw.
I bet. Now
Full circle.
Bringing it full circle.
Full circle. But, you know, insurance is just so easy because all you do is expand the risk pool.
Yeah.
If you have a 350 million person risk pool, it dilutes the cost for everybody.
Yeah.
Because me and you, who don't use much,
Right.
make up for the person who's in there every day. And there's those.
Oh, I wonder, what about it? Could somebody counter argue? It's like, well, when like the ADA came out, then people couldn't get denied certain coverages with pre-existing conditions. So now they're thrust into a risk pool that used to be full of all healthy people, and therefore you had a low premium. And I mean, is that a scale issue that
Sort of, but now, you know, they can price you out to where you can't afford. They can't straight up reject you because you have a pre-existing condition. But you have cancer. Your job doesn't offer. So you work at Esteril Drug. You have cancer. You don't get offered it through your employer. You have to go buy it privately. They can price you out to where you can't afford health insurance on the open market. You can't afford just to go down to the local insurance guy and say, "Hey, sign me up on a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan," because they're going to say, "Okay, your monthly payment's $950, and your deductible is $3,200, and
Yep.
you know, it's crappy insurance." That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, because but if you expand it into a giant risk pool of an entire country, the math works out.
So it is a scale issue then. So
It's absolutely a scale issue.
Okay.
And that's why the ACA was never designed to work. It was poison pilled by the lack of a public option. You had to have that public option to where the public buys in to this plan, and you expand the risk pool large enough to where you dilute things. And this has been studied ad nauseum by Koch brothers funded a study on health insurance, and their study showed that a single payer system was the most cost effective. Not up front,
Yeah.
but over 10 years, it saved a buttload of money. And because now all you do is, you know, you have the marketplace, but you have a scattering of a bunch of different insurance plans because people like their choice in the U.S. You got to have one that feels like it's yours. I think that might be a cultural type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be fine with the one size fits all. Just, you can go to the doctor, you can get x-rays. If you have to buy, like Canadian model, you can buy a supplement to help with your drug costs. I think it's like $25 a month. That's what my friends up in Canada pay. And their drugs are covered, no cost. That's cheap. That's Netflix.
Yep.
You know, you can buy a supplement for eyes and dental and all that stuff.
Sure.
It's just like Medicare. Because Medicare works, unfortunately. Like, people, I don't understand why they don't think it would work for all if it works very well for our seniors. If you don't think it works well for our seniors, tell them you're going to take it away. Find one senior that doesn't want to be on Medicare.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
Is there, I mean, you said, I think you mentioned earlier, this, like, sort of operating in a pure capitalist system in, I'm kind of putting words in your mouth here, but you, like, I think you, don't let me misquote you, but I think you said that it was like pure capitalist was sort of the issue in the universe of medicine. And I was sort of confused about that. And I guess I would ask you, is there any like some kind of a free market option to, I mean, because the idea just in basic pure principles here is that a wide swath of competition drops the price down.
Right.
And so, I mean, what could be done that would be a free market solution to improve the symptoms that we've got that are problematic?
See, I don't think it can, because there's two major like firewalls that I see to free markets working in medicine.
Mm-hmm.
One is that if you're in an emergency, you're not shopping around for prices.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to the ER, you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
You get picked up in a car accident, you're going to the closest place.
Mm-hmm.
You're not saying, okay, give me a price list. You can't, as a consumer, make an educated decision as to where your dollars are going to go, which is required for free market principles to work, is that the populace can look at the shelf and you can look at the products next to each other, make your decision based on that. That would drive down price.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is there is zero transparency in medicine regarding actual price.
Mm-hmm.
Because the price you pay cash is very different than the price they bill your insurance, which is very different than the price they actually get from your insurance.
Sure.
So, example, if you want to get an MRI on your knee, you got a knee injury, you're going to require an MRI so the orthopod can look at it and decide what to do next. If you call up to hospitals, you can't get a cost.
Yeah.
You can't price it out. You can't shop around. And that destroys it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they probably wouldn't even quote you a cash price. Likely. They definitely wouldn't quote you the price they're submitting to your insurance, because that's ballooned as hell, hoping that they'll pay more than they actually will. And then insurance is going to pay what they going to pay.
Yeah.
When I submit a drug to an insurance company, the dollar I submit to them is much, much higher than what actually gets paid back from the insurance company, because the insurance company has this very strict rubric. Okay, we're going to pay this amount because average market acquisition price is this, and plus a dispensing fee of $4 or whatever, and that's how they figure it out. And it doesn't matter if average market's this, but you paid above average market. Doesn't matter. They're going to pay you what they're going to pay you, and so you have to try to get your drugs as cheap as you possibly can from the wholesaler in order to stay under that average acquisition price.
Yeah.
And so, that's what prevents the free market from, those are two major aspects. I'm sure there are more.
Yeah.
But it's just truly not a free market.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But we have to treat it as such.
Right. Interesting.
Parents report. Oh.
You getting talked to?
No, my dad sent me a text about what South Park Tonight was about. Family separation policy. The parents were deported and the kids were adopted out as shelter pets.
Oh, South Park is
South Park's been great. Randy started a pot farm called Integrity Farms.
Yeah, I think I kind of heard about that. Maybe saw a clip or something.
Then there was a whole good one about with the NBA in China. How'd you follow that? Did you like that? What'd you think?
You're an
NBA guy.
I'm an NBA fan. Yeah, so the LeBron thing.
Yeah, LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron.
Is that about the money?
Yeah, I mean,
it's got to be right.
100%.
He's got $1 billion deal with Nike.
That has been, and that's the element of the conversation that nobody talk. I mean, Nike is the NBA in a lot of
and is China
and is also China. So that really, if you want to point fingers,
yes, no, it's
point at Nike. But,
absolutely.
This is a RICO case. We're mad at everybody. So,
yep.
I don't know. The LeBron thing was. I'm a big fan of LeBron as a basketball player. I think he's a pretty decent person.
I think he's a pretty good person. He's done a lot of cool stuff.
He's donated, I think, $42 million to...
Is that the Akron thing?
To
the kids to go to college
tuition.
Yeah.
He's built a school.
Yeah.
Doing some pretty rad stuff with his wealth. And all that, he deserves a endless amount of praise and that sort of thing. But I was troubled from a human rights standpoint that he was willing to quickly bend the knee to Red China.
Oh man!
Over something as innocuous as the Houston's GM tweeted out, go
free Hong Kong,
something like that. Yeah. And LeBron came out as well. I don't think he was too educated on the matter or something like that. It's like,
come on, man,
dude. Give me a break.
Because honestly, how easy would it have been for him not to say anything?
Well, and that's what he should have done.
Correct.
That's Jordan. People accuse Jordan all the time of not taking a stronger stance on civil rights issues.
Well, wasn't that the whole sweatshop Nike
sweatshop and the stuff and all of that kind of thing? And Jordan has just never make a comment about any of that stuff. Right. But
it's better than saying the wrong thing.
It is better than saying that. Yeah, totally. It totally is better than saying the wrong thing. And, LeBron got it wrong. But he's had 3 triple-doubles in a row, and everybody forgot about it. So.
Yeah. No, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's been balling.
I don't know. I guess I haven't seen much about Hong Kong. Are they still in the streets?
Oh, they're fighting. Yeah, it's bad. I hate it.
Well, because China's straight up military stating them.
Yeah.
Right?
China's icky.
They're gross.
I don't like China at all.
There's a lot. And they're never talked about, and their human rights violations are never talked about because they own the world monetarily. But they have internment camps, straight up concentration camps.
Yeah.
They do surgical research on patients. Mm-hmm. They sterilize dissidents. They disappear people.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
It's awful.
And right in clear view. Mm-hmm. I don't think you could pay me to go to China.
Yeah.
I really don't.
We were talking about this on a previous episode, just hitting on kind of just how slimy it is. You can see the minute it's these corporations and that kind of thing, so quick to like LeBron bend the knee to China, and there's that element of, well, could this be a symptom of the way our laws are set up to require corporate boards of directors and corporate officers and that sort of thing to
not do anything
make the maneuver that's in the best interest of the shareholders? And there's a strong point, I think, to be made that,
I think that's
would subject them to some sort of a derivative action from the shareholders if they come out and say, well, we're here at Apple, we're a principled group of, we're a principled company and we're not going to put up with China's horse shit and free Hong Kong and give them the middle finger and that sort of thing. And, now here come the financial ramifications and everybody's stock is worth
nothing,
and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
think there's a lot to be said about that.
It's a nasty dynamic, and I don't like it.
And is that honestly needed if board of directors are elected by investors? Because shouldn't they just be able to be voted out at the next investor meeting?
It would. Yeah. Then it gets into.
I guess the argument is there's damages.
Yeah. Well, then that would be the point of the derivative suit is
right.
I think, yes, the answer is, you could get rid of, it would be the board's job to fire the officers.
Right.
And then if you, the shareholders hate the board of directors, and hopefully in your articles of incorporation there'd be some mechanism to remove the board of directors. But
Right.
what kind of corporation are we talking about? Are we talking about one where the board of directors are also the shareholders, or is it one where it's
Which is probably the case
Or-
a lot of the time.
or do they have enough of the shares to be immune from such a thing?
Right.
And the worst case scenario would be some sort of derivative action where, we fired the CFO or something like
Right.
that and go away,
Yeah, dude, China's super icky, and they can just do what they want, and it's because they have nukes. They have 1 billion people that they can recruit for an army. Mm-hmm. Though I don't think like standing army means anything anymore, really.
No, I don't
But-
think so.
But capability wise, I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of territory, a lot of desert, and a lot of stuff out west that's not really habitable.
right?
That reminds me of something. I want to see if you can figure out what the heck this thing is quick, if we can go on a quick sidebar.
Yeah. Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I love floating, finding fun
I was looking
stuff.
at this one time, and I was over in China,
Okay.
and I found this weird thing, and it's huge, and I can't figure out what it is. And I tried looking it up on the internet, and I couldn't find it. I found a obscure Reddit post somewhere, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know what this is. Whatever." I think it's maybe some gymongous salt thing or something, but I gotta find it here. It was like this perfectly square lake off here in the desert somewheres, and it was humongous.
And white.
Yeah, this is looking... No, that wasn't square enough. I'm sorry, I should have known better. I probably won't be able to find it now, but...
You're fine.
Anyways.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, you do the little map scale thing, and it's like miles and miles long. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at this thing.
Whoa.
Any idea what this could be? I mean, look at the map key down there. It's I'm gonna switch to the display so they can.
Oh,
see.
there's 2 miles.
Yeah.
So
So whatever about a
4 mile by 4 mile by 3? No, 5 by 5 by 3 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think this thing could be 10 miles from this end to here,
Yeah.
and then maybe about 4 to
4
5
across?
potentially. Yeah. But it looks like water.
It does look like water, but it's got all these little ridges.
And look at all this crap they've got over here. A bunch of buildings and whatnot.
You wonder if it's like a heavy water facility or something. I wonder what that means. Filling station?
Yeah. Traditional. See if it's got some reviews.
It's got the Szechuan restaurant.
Somehow I think that is some mistake or something. Love the lithium cocktail and the smog sunset over the wasteland. Very apocalyptic vibes.
Oh, dude, I wonder. So maybe
Sultral reviews.
maybe it's like a heavy metal mine or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because precious metals, like that's what China's got in spades.
Look at where it's located.
But it's in the literal middle. of
Literally,
nowhere.
hundreds of miles from
Any town.
anything. Yeah. Like, here's some people.
Zhuquan.
Yeah, but yeah.
Interesting. Can we translate? Is there a name on it?
Where the heck
Like
was
a
it? I
clickable-
lost it. Oh, yeah. I mean, this thing, maybe.
That's
No,
a restaurant.
that's a restaurant, yeah.
What about up at the tip up here?
Yeah.
That was right into the mic, I think. I am sorry, guys.
Oh, well. Yeah, I can't figure out what the heck
Can
it
you
was.
drop a little a Google Street View there?
Yeah, I wish. I tried that already. Yeah, it's not even. But yeah, see if you can. I mean, maybe you'll be more
Interesting.
successful than me, but somebody like took a picture. I was like, "What the hell is this thing?" I don't know. It's probably nothing.
There's.
But I mean, shit, you could see that from space. I mean,
oh yeah, easy.
This is, I don't know how high we are roughly here, but
See, the color's what's throwing me off. So, to me, that says the pH or the metal content. So that's what makes me wonder if that's not like a collecting reservoir for like a heavy metal or rare earth metal
yeah,
mine or something. Because that color,
and it looks like there's a
it's like
canal system here.
and then it branches out. But I mean, it's clearly not agricultural land.
And where's it going to? Up into the mountain range here or something? Maybe maybe your mine theory makes some sense. They somehow siphon it into this thing, and then it spreads out and evaporates, and then they come in, and
Right.
so they got all this like kind of solution that's coming from the.
That might be
Maybe that's the
like
deal.
hydraulic solution or fracking solution or something like that.
I mean, it's so massive.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 miles long, and I mean, you couldn't even see across that, I bet.
No. You can see 11 miles if you look out at the horizon on the ocean.
So yeah, you maybe,
So,
maybe barely
You can
see from one
maybe
end to the other.
Yeah, with binoculars or something like that.
That's crazy.
That's wild. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's some there's Google Earth's fun.
Oh yeah.
I can get lost in this stuff.
I
pretty
discovered this
easy.
lake up in Russia fairly recently too. I didn't realize how humongous this thing was. Apparently, it's the biggest lake in the world.
Really?
Yeah, whatever lake, Baikal something. And I don't know if that's biggest by.
Oh, hot damn. That's 10 miles. So
Yeah.
that's
And I'm like,
hundreds.
whoa, bigger than Lake Superior or something? And I don't know if that's a calculation on volume or
Right.
length or what, but
Oh, that's
yeah.
huge.
yeah, this one I think there was a street view somewheres.
I wonder if you could find up in Russia the.
Yeah, here we go. Kind of take a gander
What was
at
that?
it.
What was the name of that one incident?
Yeah, look at
where-
this place. Oof,
Yeah, it's just ocean. I mean, to me,
pretty much.
there's that place up in Russia where there was a phenomenon like all the trees bent down
Oh yeah,
at angles.
is it some meteor or something? Or?
Yeah, they thought it might have been a meteor. I don't think it was nuke testing.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the nuke testing sites in Nevada.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some up in Russia too, because they were all the way up north, and they have so much uninhabited land.
Oh, yeah.
there that they
It's
can
wild.
Just kinda do what the heck they want.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Spurge? We've been at it for solid
Oh geez, over
2
hours.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty good, man.
All right.
I'm
Cool.
unemployed, so I can kind of do what I want. But I know
That's rad.
You work.
Yeah, I suppose. I
So-
better pack it in. Well, thank you very much for being on. I
That was
appreciate
fun,
it.
man.
Yeah, it was
Are
a
we
good
gonna do one
episode.
this weekend, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I think Saturday,
Saturday.
hopefully Saturday evening,
Okay.
maybe Sunday,
Yeah.
but
Either
I think
either or.
Saturday.
Hawks are done by 6. So
Okay. Yeah, we'll get
I'm
it
free
figured
after
out.
that. I don't have to watch the clowns.
2 tough games this week. I think it's